That's a government psyop. No, I would like him to use executive orders, but I would like him to not. I don't want this pendulum to swing out of control. So this is one of the points I was getting to with the Attorney General, is that I don't want us to become the thing that we hate to try to save the thing that we love and then destroy it, right? So if we become like them, that's the thing that we hate, to save the United States and freedom of speech, if we start suppressing speech to these platforms, then we become like them. Like, let's use law to make sure they're all playing by the same rules. That's what we've been talking about with regards to Section 230. So with regard to the president, I don't want him just saying by edict these things, right, to take care of problem. I want it to go through a process, even though I know that process sometimes is very lengthy and broken. So, but I do want him to try to fix some of these problems. One of my critiques of President Trump's first term was that there were a lot of things that he did not end up doing. He did a ton of great things, but we did not secure the border. It was better under him, way better. We saw the difference, and that's a stark contrast that hopefully everybody's awake to now, so that when he comes back in this, he can go, see, I brought it back down to what it should be. But build the wall. Get that done. There's no other process that needs to happen. Build the wall. If it takes an executive order for that, I don't think that's a problem, because guess who's signing on to that immediately? Texas is like, yep, bring the construction materials down. California, of all people, would probably be like, of all states, sorry, would probably be like, yeah, that's probably a good idea too. This really sucks. Arizona, for sure, they're taking a large brunt of this. New Mexico, nobody really cares about anyway, so just kind of do it and don't tell anybody. Santa Fe is so far north, they don't really know. Right? Build the wall, be done with it, you're good to go. That's got to be the first executive order. Don't worry about any of this other, like, virtue signaling stuff. I want to get rid of those holidays too, because I think they're stupid, but at the same time, that is not where the ball is. The ball is on the border. Get that done first.
You don't take away holidays. You make them. You know, you cause a lot of stir. Take away a holiday. It's ridiculous that we have this many holidays. Yeah, but I mean, Donald Trump's already going to be stirring things up enough. I think he's smart enough to know that anybody, you know, you don't do that.
You can just lean in and nuke all of them.
No holidays.
I get. You know what? I've changed my mind.
Yeah. I actually, let's start again. Let's start with
last term.
And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. It's the love you make, folks.
Is that a song about sex?
And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make.
That was generous.
That was nice. Very nice. So
kick him out. All right.
Oh, we have a
all right. This lady on CNN reminds me of, there's some kind of a model or something. Is it Stephanie Seymour who I'm thinking of? But she does a pretty good job there. I'm sure she has her biases, but
Morse code. Get me.
She is blinking quite
a lot.
Yeah.
Vigorously. Look at that.
yeah.
Now you can't do anything but look at the blink. Yes.
How can she see?
You turn the lights down.
What is she sending a message to Balto?
Yeah.
Someone needs to tell her how intermittent wipers work. All right, let's grab some more chats.
Okay. From Celtic Ninja, do you think in the future, period, history textbooks will admit the flaws of handling the virus or not?
First off, it's Celtic.
Excuse me.
As I understand it. I don't know. I know it's very common. It's like age. It's like Attorney General.
He might be a basketball fan.
He could be. He could be talking about the Boston Celtics.
The Celtics.
It's funny. They used to say history is written by the victors. That's not true anymore. It's written by the people who have control over the writing, and the media, and of course big tech. They're one and the same. I don't know that they'll ever allow that actually sort of be recorded through history. The truth is, a lot of what we know about history, we don't really know. Like, that is true. You may learn, for example, about Alexander. You learn a lot of fill in the blanks with Alexander the Great. For example, Caligula. We have very few contemporary records of a lot of the emperors of Rome or what happened through the Senate, because they didn't necessarily always keep records. You don't exactly know who was on that boat with Cortez. It kind of gets filled in.
I was taught that Columbus found this whole continent and the whole side of the world. So
Yeah, we just kind of knew it, and now they say he didn't do anything because of indigenous people, something, or whatever. So I don't know. I think it'll be incumbent upon you. Don't rely upon history books. And I do think as you get, hopefully, more decentralizing of power, as more people go to private schools and put their children in private schools, as more people homeschool their children, as more people take an active role in educating their children, that more people can know, because you can point to, that's why we try and frame a lot of segments as truth or myth and fact. So that's your job. I think more people can know about it, but I wouldn't rely on it sort of being the line spouted in the actual official history books.
I'd like to see a German history textbook.
Yeah.
Like a recent one.
The Jews started the war.
I want to see what's in there.
I mean, I bet you they admit fault, but they're passive aggressive. Like, but listen, we all make mistakes, even though they had all kinds of communicable diseases exclusive to Judens. But the point is, we got some things wrong. He said, Juden said.
Moving on, 1950.
No, they just feel really guilty now, so that they don't allow themselves to have any type of a national identity because they feel so guilty. Yeah, Hitler bad.
Very bad.
Hitler
very bad. Yep.
Hitler very bad.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I'm curious to see how the history will be written on this. The problem is that everybody seems to have some kind of they're working in writing these histories right now, as we're still pretty close to the events. And so what you see in documentaries and what you see in news reports and people that come out and say the definitive truth on COVID, it's not, it clearly contains some bias already.
Yeah.
And so we need more access. So I think as we hold government more accountable, and look, for our generation, that really started with the Patriot Act. It started with something we were like, whoa, that's a huge overreach that's now being used against Americans and whenever in Magic Lantern, all the gathering of data. Like, we've started to go, wait, it's our job to hold this government accountable. Otherwise, they will do things like this in our name to try and, quote, protect us.
Yeah.
And it will actually be used against us down the road.
And
or immediately.
Yes. And the most valuable tool I will say that the left gives you, and whether we're discussing this in a history book or what is being spouted from this administration, is the overreach. Look for the overreach. I have never seen more people become conservative, or at least in my lifetime, than during the period of COVID.
Right.
Ever. And it's the overreach that takes place. And we know this. We've seen this happen many times. So, for example, we know what big tech has been doing for a very long time because we've experienced it. And there have been many reports that have come out. That's how I met my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond. The overreach, though, the reason we point to the Hunter Biden one is because it's such an overreach where people know, well, I know that definitively that's untrue. And if you grab that overreach and keep bringing people back to it, where it's so pernicious, they say, what else is not true? And unfortunately, then people can go too far the other way and they think that nothing is real, like birds. But
but the COVID was to replace their batteries. Okay?
They are real, Jake.
Jake knows they're real. He was joking, and he played it very well.
He does.
I don't know, man. He almost had me convinced for a minute.
But the overreach takes place in COVID. Boy, was there an overreach.
Yeah.
There was an overreach, particularly for mothers, keeping the kids out of school when it was well past the point, of course, of this being inappropriate, where parents went, wait, hold on a second, I thought you were the true heroes, and now you won't? Now, after vaccines, which you said would completely prevent the spread of the virus at this point, that you were no longer contagious or you couldn't contract the virus, hold on, after that, and now knowing what we know about children and how significantly lower risk COVID is to them than compared to the standard flu, whoa. It's the overreach. And then they say, maybe even 2 weeks to flatten the curve was not true. Maybe the Imperial College of London with the death, maybe that also wasn't true. Right. Hold on a second. Always try and look for that overreach that is irrefutable. It happens a lot in law, and it's something that you can do culturally, where they have to concede it, and then you can work from there. So that's what I think the value is with COVID. And don't rely on the history books. You have to do your own work there with your children and with your communities. I always start with overreach that no one can refute. It's a very, very valuable place to start.
Cultist Ranger, question for the crew. What needs to happen for Media Matter to shut down?
Well, look, I wanted to address a point with the AG there, and the term lawfare has been thrown around a lot in the media lately. Lawfare is basically just using the power of the law to bankrupt somebody. Now, there's a method of doing that is absolutely reprehensible. But when you have a legitimate claim,
yes,
and all you're doing is actually pursuing the ends of that legitimate claim, then it is not lawfare. what is happening to Donald Trump right now is absolutely lawfare, funded by the deepest pockets on the planet.
Yes.
Which is the United States government. That is lawfare. They don't have legitimate claims, as everybody has been able to see.
Right. You don't get to accuse someone of lawfare when you attack them.
Exactly.
Because if Elon Musk, for example, did not take this tack, guess what? Bankrupt. They would have bankrupted him, not through lawfare, but through manipulating data and removing the ability of X and all of its employees to make a living through a lie. It is not lawfare to say you tried to bankrupt this entire company based on what you knew was a lie. That's why the legal system exists. It's not a frivolous lawsuit if you see a loss of billions of dollars. It's not a frivolous lawsuit, for example. Is it a frivolous lawsuit for Trevor Bauer with a $100 million contract and the Dodgers to be gone to win a suit, to sue, say, hey, hold on a second, or Johnny Depp, I lost Pirates of the Caribbean 19, whatever the hell it is.
And Fantastic Beasts.
Yes. Ha! Is that what it's called?
It is, but then he avoided the gay kiss with what's his name at the end, so that worked.
That's because he didn't know where to find
Dodged a bullet.
Yes.
On that one.
So, no, that's not lawfare. That's a legitimate grievance because you have been harmed. And that, of course, has happened with Donald Trump. And, of course, that happened with X. I mean, this has happened with us where we just you have to pick it. You go, okay, which is the one that you can prove? Sure, okay, demonetized publisher platform. We file these amicus briefs, but it goes on all the time. So we do need to recognize that there's an appropriate time and place. And consistently, if you look at Elon Musk or what you're seeing with the AG, these are people who have been harmed first, then deciding that they need to be proactive in seeking some kind of damages.
Right, and I think in Elon's case, and it was very, very interesting to hear that clip. I don't think I'd ever heard the audio of him saying that before, where he said anybody who is funding these organizations, I think it's really important to look at the funding behind these cases.
Yes.
Right, the people that are on the other side claiming, lawfare, this is crazy, he's going to bankrupt us. Like, the whole point wasn't to bankrupt. The point was to defend against what you're doing to try to destroy these companies. And looking at who is supporting them tells the entire story for you.
Yes.
And Elon knows that. And he's going after these people saying, Media Matters is just a symptom of the problem. It's these people behind the scenes that are pulling the strings. That's the problem. And when that gets exposed, trust me, we have a little experience. When that gets exposed, it's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea how deep this was. And how crazy this has been.
It happens a lot.
It does.
It happens a lot. When someone tells you that they are shaking you down, believe them.
Yeah.
Let's grab another chat.
Indiana 97. How do you get uninformed voters to care about what's happening when they don't even know what is happening in the news?
That's a good question. I mentioned the overreach earlier. You know what? This is just sort of relating to people. Find out what matters to them. And invariably, there will be something that matters to them that is affected by, I say politics, but politics and American culture at large. So they don't even care about the news. Are they a mother? They experienced COVID and what happened with the schools?
Yeah.
They don't even care about the news. Do they work? Are they a blue-collar worker? Do they understand how illegal immigration affects their job security, their livelihood? Oh, okay, they don't even necessarily care about the news. Do they know that their relative or their friend has been removed from making a living on, let's say, Facebook Marketplace, or whatever it is that they call it now? Find something that matters to them, and invariably it will be touched through politics and culture at large. I mean, you can take your pick on almost any of them. COVID is one, of course. Illegal immigration is one. These are probably the most universal. LGBTQAAIP is pretty damn. If this is someone who doesn't care about the news, it's far less likely that they're on board with the idea of biological men beating the shit out of women in their own sports. It actually may be so absurd to them, well, that's not really happening. And you go, hold on a second, how much time do you have?
Yep.
And all of a sudden, they become interested. Meet them where they are, find what matters to them, find what is of value to them, and then you can illuminate how it's affected, how it's been touched by politics.
No, I think that's perfect. I think you have to meet them where they are, because there are, especially if you arm yourself, there are hundreds of times that you can go to try to connect. Right. Say, this matters to young people who are in college, or maybe first time voting. They don't really care about elections. Well, okay. Do you want a job? You care about elections? Okay. Well, I'm 18 years old, but I'm just getting a job. Okay. Well, in California, they just passed a minimum wage law for $20
Hey, Missy.
in every fast food restaurant. You think that 20 is going in your pocket? It's not. It's going to automated stuff. They're going to be getting rid of jobs. Right. Like there are a lot of different ways to kind of connect with people where they are and make that case. But again, I think to your point, pick the one thing. Don't pick 5 page thesis on it. Pick the one thing that can't be refuted and just drive that home and keep driving it home for people. Maybe it helps.
I like that California's got the $20 minimum wage law coming in. More automation means maybe my order will be right for once.
Yes.
For freaking once.
Well, then you get to yell at a robot who's like, I'm just doing my best.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not what they say when you yell at them, McDonald's or Taco Bell.
Rosie from the Jetsons on Zoloft. She has aluminum bags under her eyes. You'll be the death of me. No, well, remember, I used to do this when I was in Michigan. There was always Fight for 15, because back then it was Fight for 15. Now it's 15. And no one ever showed up. So they would say, sign up for our email so you can know when there are protests. And I was signed up for the emails, and I had multiple employees signed up for the emails. Invariably, we would see a picture somewhere down, at, I don't know, it could be the state capitol or something. It was like 8 people.
Yeah.
And they go, really successful protest. It's like, but we're on the mailing list. You didn't let us know. It was a few union members, a few heads of unions who decided to go down and say, hey, we're making a difference. And also, by the way, very interesting to see that a lot of this fight for 20, which will lead to automation, hey, you know what? The heads of these unions, they still get to line their pockets. That's why all the money still goes to push it. They're not affected. It's the people who can't vote against the union at this point because they're not in a right-to-work state. Those are the people who get screwed. Maybe, hopefully, what you're seeing in Michigan a little bit right now. I'm surprised at the polls going to Michigan, because Michigan is
Big time.
a union state. It did go right to work, which surprised me, and I think that some people are waking up, if only because they have to, because they understand that the math doesn't work anymore. It used to be, you could kind of live, I don't want to say, there is entitlement. There was a point where unions were relevant at one point in time in this country, but the UAW at a certain point, people thought, okay, American dream, some kind of stability, because these jobs were not particularly safe, right? It was a lot of hard labor. Okay, so I'll even grant you that at that point in time. However, now you have something to compare it to. Back then, you didn't have, for example, Toyota and Hyundai and Kia and I don't know if it's Lexus, but foreign auto manufacturers having plants here in the United States where their workers are happy, are making great livings, and they're not in the UAW. So now you have a direct A/B comparison. You say, oh, their numbers work and ours don't. We need never-ending lies of bailout money from the taxpayer, and they don't. And so I think a lot of younger people, sort of like with Social Security, where they say, well, we know that that's not going to be there for me, or at least not in its current capacity. In Michigan, hopefully, that's what we're seeing, because the polls are frankly startling to me. Not startling in a good way, but very, very surprising. So,
Morning,
I don't know
all.
what my point was, but there was a point. I will say this:
Michigan.
the hardest people, though, to convince if they don't care about news, politics, is Asians. Let me tell you why.
What?
Because I've had these conversations. They're just so interested in what they are doing, often culturally, and being successful, and just taking your job.
Yeah, the conversation's like,
Yeah, I have to go work.
So,
yes.
so same. You're like, oh, what's happening at Harvard and affirmative action? And you have to have a higher GPA. It's not fair. Like,
Yes.
so higher GPA.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not.
No, that's not.
So if I can still get a straight A's, go to law school, medical school, still successful. Yeah, I don't care. No.
Yeah.
Electoral college, no matter to me.
Yes. Good.
Yeah, good. Become a doctor.
Yes.
Before conversation, thank you. Become a doctor. After a conversation, still become a doctor. Yes. All right. I guess you're not.
There's no convincing this guy.
No, it doesn't.
I can't win this argument.
And they're not entirely wrong, because they are a demographic who have been incredibly successful in this country. And when you say if they have not faced discrimination, I would encourage you, if you say that, and of course you can go back and look who built the railroads, but you can also go a little further into history. I don't know if you know World War II, internment camps. So I would argue that Asian Americans have faced discrimination, and they have been incredibly successful in spite of that. Same thing.
Incredibly resilient.
Yes, incredibly resilient. Same thing with Cuban Americans. We really need a segment on Cuban Americans, because it is fascinating to see I've never seen people with a work ethic like them, and it's consistent across the board, and poll after poll after poll after poll. In other words, if there were groups that have been discriminated against, and you can say, okay, there's been some discrimination, is there going to be some kind of restitution? The results always went the same way. But that's not the case. You have many different groups in this country, granted, who have faced discrimination throughout history. And you see some who have faced discrimination more recently, or fled actual oppression, had a valid claim to asylum far more recently than other marginalized groups, and they are incredibly successful. They are far more. So marginalized group A, the problem is you, the problem is this country at large. More recently, marginalized group B, more successful than the American demographics at large. That begs the question, why? Let's stop with the identity politics of seeing it just melanin, seeing it just for gender, or whatever it is now, sexual.
Heroin was huge back then.
I'll use them interchangeably, two genders. When you have a comparison,
He may think that, but no.
that works. You have a comparison that is successful in spite of it. Let's try and approach this problem as we would any other problem.
That's what fueled the mob in the 30s. After alcohol, after Prohibition ended,
potentially is a blueprint. Has this problem
heroin
been
took
faced
over
somewhere else with a successful outcome? The answer is yes. The answer is yes repeatedly in the United States, but they demand that you turn a blind eye to it. It's as simple as not turning a blind eye to it, and every time you need to.
Luciano built the pipeline through Cuba.
That overreach that cannot be refuted. That will give you the opening. By God, you'll be surprised as to how many people will be willing to have a conversation and how many minds you can change. I mean it. Try, meet them where they are, and grab that overreach. We will see you tomorrow. I think Kay Williams, he's Cuban. He'll be here tomorrow. Oh, jeez.
Like a bunch of new YouTubes this morning. I just didn't do anything with them. China. So what's your thoughts? Missing Remote, did you see Midwest stream last night? In Dalton, Illinois? It was a banger. Oh, look, Northwoods Press commented on one of my videos. That's so nice of them.
What's that? It's a new vet.
You're Officer Fernandez?
Yes.
It's spelled F-E-R-N-A-N-D-Z. W-M Fernandez. Okay. Yeah, my name's Jeff.
Are you a vet?
I am, yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I come from a family vet. So he's clearly not homeless, but he is he's out for voicing his First Amendment right, and he is on a public sidewalk.
Well, we're not going to call back people.
I will. But as of right now, I'm not going to go and violate his rights or anything like that.
His rights. All right.
Yes, as an American citizen, he also has rights.
Why would they take you? Because that's theft. You can't take someone else's property. It's not yours. You know it's not yours. It's theft. You know it. You just said it's his on camera.
Well,
so that's theft. I'm just saying that's theft. You don't give anything you can. Trust me. He knows the law better than we do.
God bless the homeless vets. You bet.
That was a nice one, Firm. Clippy clip. 47 minutes. It's a long one. MCC. We're actually going to speed this up a little bit.
This is the constitutional procedure out here. Idaho Mission, spiky pants. We're gonna window shop downtown. We're gonna start with this Armory Community Center. Got Parks and Rec, got the Chamber of Commerce in here. Let's see if it's open. It is.
Mad you can't do 70 in this fucking 60 mile an hour zone. Oh, Long Island Auto just dropped one. Fuck. I'll watch this one later. He's doing a video on Flex. Yep.
This is private. This is public. Don't touch me. I'm in public. You push me in the street. Don't touch me. You push me in the road. I'm recording. Are you ladies? You're a tyrant. Suck my dick.
Hey, what's up, guys? Long Island Auto here. Back again with another video.
I guess he's getting out Thursday at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're going to release him.
Conviction of an activist and veteran who was sentenced to jail for simply exercising his First Amendment rights that he forfeited. Stay tuned to the end of the video for my thoughts. Let's get into it.
It's been 2 years since the tyrants in Waterloo, Iowa arrested me. This all started after I was driving back to my house, fresh from auditing. I was driving on my block and I had noticed a bunch of undercover police and pickets right behind me. I had no idea what was in store for me. There was around 15 cops at my neighbor's house, armed to the teeth, and they had my neighbor surrounded. Confused as to why this was happening, I see these officers and rub his head on the I got it. Just come see me. I'm not on. This is public. Don't be a punk. Noticing that I was recording this very rough arrest, one of the tyrants yelled at me to get off the property. I never once went on the property, mind you. Now we meet one of the biggest oath-breaking tyrants in all of Iowa, Lieutenant Michael Gersh.
No, I'm not. I don't answer questions.
He doesn't like that I was documenting this rough arrest and tries getting me away so I cannot record it any longer. I tell him off, as the arrest was well over 50 feet away and I was on public property the whole time. I don't take corrupt and lawful demands lightly, and Lieutenant Michael Gersh was so ego-filled and offended that I made fun of his pimple on his chin.
Cool pimple you got on your face.
Man, search warrant being executed on property. This is private. This is public. Don't touch me. What are you doing? For this property. He turned around and started shoving me away into an actual way.
Name and badge number now.
Lieutenant Gersh, G37.
You don't know who you're with, boy.
Search warrant being executed here. You don't have the right to be here. I'm in public. You pushed me in the street. You pushed me there, dumb. No. Oh, I can't be executed. What? What are you doing? What are you doing, you dumb? I can't videotape. This is my property. Don't touch me. You pushed me in the road. I'm recording. I can't record it. Now, I don't like talking about this, but I think it's needed. I'm a 100% disabled combat veteran with PTSD alone. When another man puts hands on me for no reason, I get quite mad, as with anybody else. I can control myself from physically fighting back. But instead of my lighthearted comedic approach I normally use, I voiced my anger via free speech and hurled insults at Lieutenant Michael Gersh. I then walked across the street to where a group of people were and continued filming the arrest. I stayed out of the scene, even though there was many family members in the act of walking back and forth. As you noticed, I was the furthest away compared to the many others watching us. I noticed a group of officers standing inside the fence, doing nothing but talking with each other. And you could tell that they hated my free speech and wanted to find a way to arrest me. That's when we meet this tyrant, Sergeant Greg Erie. Greg Erie was very upset with my free speech, saying that I can't swear. He had enough and decided to solicit a disorderly conduct charge and asked everyone around me if my speech offended them.
What do you want? I can talk all I want First Amendment. I can't swear.
Everyone said they weren't offended and my speech was just fine. So I said as many cuss words as possible to his face, and these famous words were said.
Yeah, you're a tyrant. Suck my dick. Yeah, come back to me, huh? Disorderly.
I was arrested for bruising his ego and hurting his feelings. They knew that the disorderly conduct charge held zero weight. So instead, they charged me with interofficial acts. They threw me in a freezing cold cell, no blanket, mat, or food. 12 hours later, I had some friends who watched my live stream drive all the way up from Illinois to bail me out. Now things get a lot more corrupt. At first, I got a public pretender, which was this woman. In talking with her, she stated that I would be found guilty because I cussed at the cops. Thinking to myself, wow, how is this failure an attorney? She didn't want to represent me, and I had gotten another public pretender. This time, he agreed with me that I didn't commit any crime, and it was obvious I was arrested for my speech. During this time, before court, after waiting over 10 years, I had finally received my back pay from the VA for my disabilities. So I went out attorney hunting. Let me just say that finding an attorney in Iowa is almost impossible. But I convinced one of the best attorneys to represent me. The same attorney that won a huge amount of money for a client who was recording police in which they stole his phone. For him to fight the simple misdemeanor charge, it initially cost me over $20,000. We thought it would be a breeze to win as I hadn't committed a crime. Next comes court. Here we meet a very unconstitutional, corrupt Brooke K. Jacobson and the DA, which he didn't want to drop the charges. Now, if I didn't know this guy Brooke was a judge, I would have guessed he was probably just I mean, look at his creepy-ass face. So jury selection happens. We asked the jury to raise their hands if they are personal friends with police officers, and over 2/3 raised their hands, with many stating they are personal friends with these very Waterloo officers. I knew then that this was unfair, and they had rigged it against me. Oh, and it gets worse. One of the 6 jury members was an active city council member, John Childs. John even stated that he would be hesitant to side against the police, as he has to...
Yeah, they had a city council meeting, and he was able to get in there and record it and listen to all the people tell her what a piece of shit she is.
We know that interference with
actually for the whole city council just about, but yeah.
Is needed an obstacle in that verbal harassment.
There was one person who paid.
They claim the physical part of interference happened when Lieutenant Michael Gersh shoved me in an active roadway. And Michael Gersh stated that he couldn't clear the house, which he was searching because I was videoing outside. He lied and claimed that me being there prevented him from clearing the house. He is such a dishonorable, corrupt tyrant. Watching him be completely uncomfortable on the stand and cringing from his actions when he was shoving the old man and then shoving me around, he was prepped to lie and say anything that would cover his own ass. From the judge to the DA to the police, you have to understand that they all have each other's back. And they'll lie and manipulate the law any way they feel like to win. The Constitution means nothing to these traitors. Even when Sergeant Erie admitted on the stand that when I called him a tyrant, it triggered him. And so he arrested me. He hated being called a tyrant, yet he acted just like an oath-breaking tyrant would, and stripped me from my freedom, threw me in a cage, and waged war on my mental health and wellness. During jury deliberation, the jury asked questions about the very law I was charged with, and the judge denied giving them the answer. I was found guilty. 10 days in jail, 20 suspended, and 1 year probation. Judge Brooke even said me harshly and unfair because he wants to prevent others from doing what I do. Well, obviously thinking we would appeal this BS and get to a higher court that actually follows the law would be next. However, in Iowa, if you get a simple misdemeanor, it's up to the same corrupt court to decide if you even get an appeal or not. To save their own ass, they declined. All the hope we had left was to appeal to the Supreme Court of Iowa, and the chances are extremely low that they would even look at it, especially being a simple misdemeanor. Well, they couldn't care less and denied me twice. Now, I am stripped of my freedom and sitting in a freezing cold cell. Don't worry, there's a plan in place to sue and try again. I'm calling upon all of you for help.
Sorry for the Patriots. First and foremost, Flexor Freedoms needs our support. I will leave his donation links in the description of this video. I also would like to say that although our styles are very different, it is absolutely clear to me that he didn't commit any crimes and his constitutional rights were violated by these tyrant officers. His arrest, conviction, and sentence were all a travesty of justice. How did a jury of his peers watch the video and conclude that he was guilty of a crime? I haven't the slightest clue. While I personally wouldn't have used the language he did, our speech is protected under the First Amendment of the Constitution. When my rights are being violated and my freedom stolen from me by tyrants just like the ones in this video, I definitely want to vent my frustrations toward them. I try my best to stay calm and collected and not use profanity when dealing with law enforcement for this exact reason. Our justice system is broken, ladies and gentlemen. And make no mistake, it's by design. The government makes the rules, and they skew those rules in their favor, not ours. Whether that means using officer safety, or what they claim is reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions, they are always going to find some way to justify their tyrannical behavior. It absolutely disgusted me that a jury found this man guilty. The United States population is brainwashed. They watched the video of him using profanity against the police and found him guilty of a crime. Why?
Yeah, he had over 5,000 viewers.
Law enforcement are heroes.
It was awesome.
That they are here to protect and serve the people. That we should respect all law enforcement officers no matter what. It doesn't matter if they approached him aggressively, attempting to violate his constitutional rights to report them. It doesn't matter that he has a First Amendment right of freedom of speech to talk to the officers as he wishes. All that mattered was that he was disrespectful while having his constitutional rights violated. And that was enough for the jury to convict. And to make matters worse, he gets to jail by a tyrant judge, and he doesn't even have an avenue for an appeal. I don't want anyone to ever lose anything for exercising their constitutional rights. This is why I advocate to always remain calm, stay in control of your emotions when dealing with these tyrannical gang members who are going to use any excuse to lock you in a cell and take away your freedom, take you away from your family and your friends. The justice system doesn't care about justice. Most of the American population don't even care about their own rights. Like I said, they're brainwashed to put law enforcement officers on some sort of pedestal. They are public servants. I don't know how we fix this broken system of ours, how we the people regain our power when we are finding our own guilty of crimes for hurting the feelings of a tyrant. We need to continue to come together and change, demand transparency, demand accountability, and do our best every day to further that goal. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, stay safe, God bless. I'll see you in the next video. Long time, everybody. Peace.
Welcome once again to Leto's Law. Here's Steve Leto.
David sent me a note about a story. It's rather timely. I don't know if you heard or not, but there's going to be an eclipse. A total eclipse of the sun. You thought I was going to say hard, didn't you? Travel agency loses $30,000 after Buffalo hotel cancels eclipse reservation for hundreds of tourists. And I've actually heard of this happening in more than one place. Sarah Minkowitz wrote this for WIVB, a travel agency, bringing more than 200 people to Buffalo for the eclipse. Says they were all left scrambling to find a place for their guests to stay after a local hotel canceled their reservation. The man who owns the tour company said, "We've spent 2 years preparing for this event to make it a great event. We're in the process of possibly losing it all in one fell swoop." So it looks like they're not going to lose it all, but they came close. His company is based in New Jersey. His agency is planning on bringing 250 people to Buffalo for the total solar eclipse on April 8th. April 8th. He said, "You guys, Buffalo, are in the totality of the eclipse. People are coming from all over the world. To prepare for the trip, he'd set up arrangements for the travelers to stay at several local hotels. Several. He signed a contract with 2 different hotels to reserve more than 100 rooms. In January, as the date of the eclipse neared, because keep in mind he's been working on this for some time now, his team emailed back and forth with the hotel management to go over logistics, including breakfast accommodations. Everything seemed squared away. Then a month ago, he found out the reservations were all canceled. He said he was told over the phone hotel staff member that, and this is the quote, "We're canceling your contracts, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts." He said he's given no explanation for the canceling. After working with another company and the local visitor bureau, they were able to secure hotel rooms elsewhere, but at a higher rate. And that is what's going on here, by the way. We'll get there. We end up finding space to cover the 3 groups, but of course we're now paying $150 to $200 a room, where my company is going to take the hit on because I can't pass it on to my clients. So he'd already done the math on this, what he could sell this package for. And he built in the other hotel costs, which are now canceled, and they were cheaper than this. So he said he's losing about $30,000 because of this and is looking into his legal options, of which he has one really good one called breach of contract. It's just bad business. It's sad. Now we have to go through hiring an attorney, fighting them out to at least recoup the losses. At this point, we're taking a hit, and I guess we're going to end up, in court. That's the end of the story. And so I heard this happening someplace else, and of course the eclipse, as it happens, actually goes across, and if you look at the maps, it kind of goes across the United States, and there's some places that are better than others to view it. I guess in Michigan, it's not going to be a total eclipse, except down to the very, very bottom, I think right-hand corner of the state, down here. But I've heard of other hotels doing cancellations like this. And here's the thing, 2 years ago, this eclipse was not on anybody's figurative radar, as far as I know. I had not heard about this.
It's going to be total here.
It was on the radar of
Northwest Ohio.
Into these kinds of things. So somebody in the travel industry figured this out.
In fact, the town about an hour away from me will be the longest
make money
totality.
Booking trips to Buffalo in April.
I think it's called Forest, Ohio. It'll be the longest totality.
And so then,
almost 4 minutes.
Contacts a couple hotels, books out the blocks of rooms, which they're happy to do. And I assure you, people at the hotel never realize, oh wait, this guy's booking for the second week of April of next year because of an eclipse. And because of the eclipse, there actually would be a premium on rooms that particular weekend. Wait a second. And so they most likely said, instead of selling them to this guy at our typical rate, we can sell them to other people at a higher rate. So let's cancel the contract with this guy and then just sell them at the higher rate. And this is such a common problem in contract law. It goes back hundreds of years. And if you were allowed to cancel a contract simply because you could make more money by breaking it, contracts would become meaningless. Guess what the number one reason is that people break contracts? They think they can make more money someplace else. And so there is a concept in the common law, and it goes back hundreds of years, probably more than that, it goes back 1,000 years, that if you and I enter into a binding contract, especially for the sale of something, let's suppose I sell widgets. I sell widgets. And widgets at a market price, it fluctuates. Sometimes of the year, not worth so much. Sometimes they're worth a lot. If the widget crop fails, those who have them pay their own price. So, however, to protect myself, I decide to sell my widgets way down the road into the future so that I don't have to worry about the fluctuations in price. So let's suppose widgets selling at $75 is break even for me. But 100 I make a profit. 125 I make really good money, but people won't pay that unless times are tough. And so I actually meet somebody who says, Steve, I'll buy your July output. All the widgets you make in July, I'll give you $100. I'll guarantee that price right now. I said, okay, we sign a contract, we shake hands, do everything we can do to memorialize the contract. And as the date approaches for me to deliver those widgets, the widget crop fails in every other state but mine. I'm sitting on a gold mine, and
this guy's not even in his... Jesus.
Pay $200.
Pay attention, fucker.
I should be saying no because I haven't got any sell. I said I'm going to sell my...
You can see his tracks. He was way over the line.
But I can make more money. But you understand, of course...
Yeah, Grego, big time.
The exact opposite had happened. That is the price of crack. And he wanted to back out. What would I do? I'd sell the contract.
Hey, someone.
So guess what? When the price goes in his...
Wait, about 15 minutes left of the drive here.
Sue me. And that makes complete sense. Otherwise, like I said, none of these contracts would ever be enforceable. And so the law has evolved over the years to allow those kinds of contracts to be enforceable. Because if they aren't enforceable, why do we even have contracts? So it'll be interesting to see what happens here, because there's two things that come into play in modern times. The most obvious one is, were there terms and conditions as part of the contract that the hotel gave the travel agent? In other words, did it say in there, we guarantee these prices except for, did it contain a bunch of outs for them? Now, simply having an out because they can get more money from somebody else, probably...
Our front and backyard are both flooded.
Something else in there that suggests that as long as they cancel this...
Yeah, but I was the first out.
And a court might...
So my stream only went for about 35 minutes, 40 minutes.
Cancel up to a certain time. But if it simply says, oh, the hotel can cancel, but you cancel.
Pretty sure Boston ended up winning.
And the other problem these days is your attorney fees, court costs are probably not recoverable if you are the travel agent, even if you win. So in other words, you can sue for your damages, which is the cost of you covering the contract elsewhere, that's what they call it. But you probably can't get your attorney fees, court costs back. So if you sue for $30,000 and you win and spend $15,000, $20,000 chasing that, you'll still come out ahead, but it's not making you whole. And that's a sad thing, that really ought to be the case.
Pretty much.
But that's simply a rule that goes back quite a ways as well. However, keep in mind that I remember reading cases on this in law school. Somebody would contract the sale of oil next year. Somebody would contract the sale of some other crop next year. And those are things that often do this. And somebody who's in the hotel industry would know that, oh, every year we get more business this time of the year. Think spring break, Miami, right? Or think, Northern Lights in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I mean, there are certain things that people go to see certain times of the year. And fall cover tours, that kind of thing. And so the people in the hospitals know which dates and seasons are hot. And so chances are, a couple years ago, not a lot of people were thinking, boy, April 8th.
Yeah, I knew it was still coming because
hotel rooms would be a hot ticket.
Midwest was driving in it last night after the meeting up in Dalton.
So we'll see what happens.
Almost a 3-hour drive home.
I'm glad he got it covered, because otherwise he got sued by 250 people. Because he contracted to help these people. And that's the other strange thing. I think
so happy for him, man. He hit almost 6,000 views, I think.
That is tied to other contracts. So this guy, the travel agent, in essence,
our sustained viewers, I mean.
But he thought he had an out because, like, okay,
total views is going to be off the charts, I'm sure.
He then sells these packages to all these people here. And if that contract goes bad, it screws up his contract.
I should check it, see if it's still up.
Now, obviously, 250 people is probably 125 couples.
He said he was going to download it and edit it up a little bit.
I hope that whoever handles this in court, judge-wise,
because it ended up being, because he ended up staying
this
for a while, so
on the hotel's promises, went and booked all these tours. And by the way, that's the other thing that you can often point to in a contract case. And I'm not going to get too heavily into that because this entire book's written on the concept of reliance. But if I come to you and I say, hey, will you do this for me? Will you sell this for me? Will you, and I ask you to do something, and you agree to do it, and we enter into a contract, whatever the legally binding requirements are in your state, okay, that can hinge on how much the contract is for and so on. And if you say, yes, I will do that, and then I go and act to my detriment in reliance upon your promise to fulfill the contract. If you then breach the contract, I come to court and say, Your Honor's breach of contract. The judge says, well, it's your word against his. No, look what I went and did based on that promise, which was reasonable, by the way. So I had signed contracts with these hotels, and they said, we will rent you this many rooms for these prices. And based upon that promise, I put together these packages and I sold them to 250 people. And then they call me up 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before, and they go, oh, by the way, we can't do it. Your reservations are all gone. No ifs, ands, or buts. A judge could look at that and go, okay. We're talking about how enforceable the contract is, the fact that this guy relied upon it. Again, however, I've not seen the written version of these contracts. The question is, are there any claims, conditions, ways out buried in the fine print? And we'll have to wait and see. But David, thanks for sending that to WIVB. Sarah Minkwitz wrote it. Travel agency loses $30,000 after Buffalo hotel cancels Eclipse reservation for hundreds of tourists. Questions or comments? We'll this time.
Thank you for watching Leto's Law. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor.
Is it? I don't even know. Let me see. Here. It's gonna be about the same for us here. Actually gonna go up a little bit over the weekend, but Monday it's forecast rain, so it looks like we might not even be able to see the moon. That sucks. That sucks. One of the best areas, and it's going to be covered in clouds. Well, it says cloudy in the morning, then off and off rain showers during the afternoon hours. High 59. This is for the 8th, Monday, eclipse day. see. Not very encouraging. Yeah, I'd like to see it. Seen the one that was kind of a partial here. I guess it was total down in Tennessee about 7 years back, but yeah, all these places are giving out aids and all that stuff. That sucks. Hey, King Charles. Where we headed? To the Monroe office. I'm about 10 minutes away. I'll probably do a desktop stream from the main channel. Depending on how crazy it is. I actually had a walk-in yesterday, so I wasn't able to pay attention. I've been getting more attendance on my fucking backup drive channel than my main channel lately. Except for that one cop watch I did. Let me see. Total, yes, I knew it. 74,000 views on his video last night. $74,000 views. And that's just gonna go up. Because he had, like, Nate the lawyer was restreaming them. A bunch of people were. He had like 5 big channels restreaming them during the meeting last night. He got in a good spot. He was recording the people as they were speaking. It was a fucking, I don't know if you didn't watch it. There was literally, you know how the podium there, and there was literally a fucking cop standing right next to the podium, aiming the mic at people. They couldn't even touch the mic when they walked up. Fucking talk about intimidation. Oh yeah, his watch hours. I bet you if he cleans it up, he'd probably actually make a little bit of ad money on that. Bao was. It was weird though, because Bao cut his stream off right afterwards too. I was gonna jump onto his stream and it was already ended. What's this? Is it Kappa? Little piggy pock chair? We're walking around the backyard there. Unmarked. Yeah. Well, Bao streams quite often are. I love him. Yeah, fucking 74,000. Rats. That cluster's got a new video.
on some more BS, you going to the county jail.
Welcome back to the Lackluster channel.
Oh, great.
On December 18th of 2020, 3 separate incidents led to a lawsuit against the Autauga Sheriff's Department and the 911 system. A call for help was initially placed to 911 by a viewer named Randy, who alleged that his partner drinking, arguing, and physically fighting throughout the day. The sheriff's office told Randy that they could not make his partner leave, as they had been residing at the property for several months. Despite the report of domestic violence, the deputy suggested that Randy should drive his partner to a bus station so he could go back to Ohio.
Well, I mean, why don't you take it to the bus stop? You gonna go to the bus stop?
That's what you said? That's what you said a few minutes ago.
That's what you said a few minutes ago, then it called back and said you said you ain't gonna go. Now I'm gonna tell you something. If we put you in jail, you're gonna stay in jail. You understand that? Are you willing to go to the bus stop? Yeah, he's gonna take you, or you gonna go with us. Do you understand? I'm fed up with this now. This is the second time I'm down with you, homeboy. Are you gonna take him to the bus?
Yeah.
You're gonna get in and go to the bus stop. If he calls us back, you go to the county. You understand?
Randy agreed, but 15 minutes later, deputies were called back, as the arguing hadn't stopped. And again, the deputies ordered Randy to drive his partner to the Montgomery Greyhound bus station. Only this time, the deputy would follow them to the county line to ensure they were gone, or at least out of their jurisdiction and no longer their problem. Not long after, a third call was made, as the two never made it to the bus station. Randy was allegedly continuously attacked during the drive, and his partner wasn't allowed on a bus because of his level of intoxication. So instead, Randy drove back to Autauga County and brought his partner to the sheriff's office. The two were separated there until Lieutenant Art Watkins arrived on scene.
How you doing? Y'all went to Montgomery and don't come back.
No, he brought me back here because he don't want me to come back to the house. That's all.
Okay.
I don't have nowhere to go. I don't have where to go.
I called MPD and MPD said,
No. I told you to take him. You had an agreement that you guys had been in an argument. Y'all called us, okay? We did a police report for domestic violence, all right? You said you were going to take him to the bus place in Montgomery.
I did take him.
Okay. All right. You said you would go.
No, we didn't.
Okay. Well, so you guys have been into an argument again?
No, we haven't been in an argument. No, we haven't.
I took him to Greyhound, and you can ask my friends there in the parking lot. I took him to Greyhound. He would not get out of my car.
Okay.
I called MPD, called 911, and they sent out some people, and they said because they smelled alcohol, that he could not get on the bus.
No, he didn't. I think it's an old Greyhound station.
Okay. So why did you bring him back here?
That's a lie. You don't back to him.
Hey, I'm not talking to you.
They threatened to arrest us, I guess, for alcohol. They smelled the alcohol.
You said you take me nowhere.
I called 911 in Montgomery at the bus station, downtown Montgomery. I took him to Montgomery.
Okay.
Like you said,
Okay. Why did you come back here? Did I not tell you? Stand up. Put your hands. Stand up. Put your hands behind your back right now. You under arrest. You understand that?
Randy's partner has now been arrested for public intoxication, not for the domestic violence that had been reported by Randy during the 3 previous encounters. All 3 times, the Autauga County Sheriff's Office and Montgomery Police Department advised Randy to take his alleged assailant into his own vehicle to a bus station, but when his partner was unable to load onto a bus, instead of returning home and continuing to be battered, Randy decided to bring his assailant to the sheriff's office, and this decision also results in Randy's arrest.
You under arrest. You understand that? For public intoxication, or I'm gonna figure out whatever else I want to charge you with. Stand up. Put your hands behind your back right now. You under arrest for domestic violence harassment. Shut up. Do what I told you to do. I'm gonna tow your car too. Yeah, I'm towing the Hummer. I'm towing it. You can get the hell out of the car then, because I done told you and you, both of you. Okay? This is the second time I done dealt with you. 3rd time, all right? I'm not playing with you, homeboy.
I didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything. You can sit in the county jail and say you didn't do something. All right? I'm not tired of fooling with you. You got the right one this time, homeboy. You got the right one. Both of you.
Randy was arrested for harassment or harassing communications, though he was the victim of domestic violence. They both were taken to the county jail.
Now let's go. We're going this way, to the county jail. What else you got right here?
Here's your phone, your key. To the county jail over here. I'm putting you in jail for public intoxication. And you going to jail for domestic violence harassment. You going to jail for domestic violence harassment. I'm putting both of you on a $3,000 bond, both of you. You're going to have a 24-hour hold. You are. And you will too for public intox.
I have arrived. All right, guys. I'm going to do whatever I can to go live from the desktop. We'll see how things are. It's rainy, so we'll see if my appointments even make it today. Okay.
I warned you till I was blue in the face. Take a ride.
Talk to you guys later. Love you. Thanks for keeping me safe in my ride.